Robert Piri is my name, and I'm the Executive Director of the Public Affairs Committee. And this organization is an interfaith organization. Be that as it may, we do have Malawi Chamber of Commerce and Law Society because of its inception in 1992 when it was formed. Basically, it maintained dialogue between Dr. Banda and Public Affairs Committee to bring in multi-party system of government. And since then, we have been undertaking different activities, mainly public dialogue, which will entail conferences where we tap ideas, issues that affect Malawians, and then we bring them into the second aspect of the activity, which is advocacy and lobbying. Then thirdly, we also do conflict management at national, local level in terms of early warning and response. But in terms of the issues which affect Malawi, democracy consolidation, we also do civic awareness on gender-based violence, various issues, electoral processes were involved in terms of civic awareness. There are various issues, and these issues, from your question, basically they are interlinked. There are social linked to political as well as to economic. As regards the social aspect, Malawi has faced a number of challenges or the issues. We can mention corruption, for example, is one of the social issues that we are grappling with. Previously and recently too, the issue of killing of albinos has been quite a big issue. We do have issues of gender-based violence. So these issues also impact on the political issues. And as regards political, the issue of corruption has been a big issue, and abuse of funds within the state machinery and other sectors. So it's a big disease in Malawi in terms of corruption. And we also face challenges in terms of enforcement, the rule of law. We haven't been good, so that still faces Malawi. Irrespective of all the good laws we can develop, it's very difficult to take people to book. So for example, if there is corruption, you find people go scot-free. Issues of Anti-Corruption Bureau, the independence of the institution itself which deals with corruption has been an issue, and still people are debating whether we can deal with corruption, where you see very prominent people who have been arrested on corruption can be acquitted. We have also issues of reforms, electoral reforms. We are going to 2019 tripartite election, and up to now you see the government and the parliament itself did not pass the electoral reform. And those reforms were so fundamental and remain fundamental because they are preventive in nature. If we are to avoid the violence, if we are to avoid disputes in terms of acceptance of the results, we needed these reforms. In 2014 we had a challenge because the winning candidate, presidential candidate, and the second, they had a narrow margin, and that was a source of challenge in terms of how to deal with the matter. This time around, we are going back to the polls first past the post without going the 50% plus one, which means if there is a narrow margin, definitely we could have the same situation. So electoral reform hasn't been tackled. Local Government Act reforms haven't been tackled. We are talking about presidential powers where the president can appoint anybody and do whatever he can do and go scot-free. The presidential powers, we haven't dealt with that because those issues are contained in the Constitutional Review Report of the Law Commission 2007. So if you look at the political situation, it is quite unsettled because we do have a lot of political parties emerging at the moment. And therefore the presidential candidates, as we go to 2019, will be quite many of them. So that implies a bigger challenge in terms of the institutional architecture in Malawi. The political parties are divided because they don't have intra-party democracy. Conventions are organized in such a manner that they have already predetermined the presidential candidate. So you find there are a lot of factions within the political party, which poses a challenge in terms of the intra-party democracy because you can't have inter-party democracy if you are failing to achieve intra-party democracy. So politically, that's really an issue. So if you look at the socio-economic, political, you find there is a trend in all these. You can see corruption is a social issue. Politically, corruption is a big issue because implementation, development-wise, is being affected. We can't have social, sectors improving in Malawi. So too, if you go economically, you find the challenge is corruption. The private sector in Malawi hasn't ticked at the moment. They haven't been paid by the state machinery, and therefore they cannot continue to recruit or employ even the young ones, because the private sector has been squeezed quite a lot. So these are so interlinked in terms of the social program, political as well as the economic program. Looking ahead 2019, we see an opportunity if perhaps we can elect leaders who are transformative. If we don't do that, we will still have these transactional leaders who are doing the same things and they go scot-free. So the political culture that we have and the institutional architecture that we have is so detrimental to development, because we are using the same structures that have created the problems to solve those particular problems. So we are facing a big challenge in Malawi. Various roles. Within the social sector, I think you'll recall that most of the religious institutions do have schools, do have healthy facilities, they have clinics, apart from having the religious institutions as churches. So in Malawi, we have been lucky that the religious institutions have contributed to the state machinery's development by establishing, these health facilities, education. Be that as it may, these social sectors haven't improved at all. There is need to have support in all these hospitals, despite that we do have them. The other element from the political point of view is that the faith community has contributed quite a lot in terms of guiding the faithfuls, in terms of who is perhaps to help Malawi in terms of transformative leadership, by talking about qualities of good leadership without mentioning the name whom you want. So this is a role in terms of the politics where we can engage political parties in terms of conflict management. We can lobby them to pass laws. We have been involved. The Catholics have issued pastoral letters to raise issues of national importance. The Presbyterians have done the same, Coma Synod in particular, Livingstonia. They have done the same to raise these issues. So advocacy, lobbying, as far as the faith community is concerned, we have undertaken that. We have undertaken issues of conflict management. Look, we have to look at conflicts not only at political level. There have been conflicts between the Christians and the Muslims. And because PAC is interfaith, it's inclusive, it has Muslims, it has Christians and Pentecostals, we do have a mechanism which we use in terms of trying to deal with that. So we have interfaith dialogue sometimes, which we promote common understanding amongst faith communities, which is very crucial. And our approach at training level civic awareness is ecumenical. So we have all the faith leaders being involved in terms of conflict prevention, developing a common understanding, and therefore we are able to have that gravitas at the moment being deemed or considered by United Nations as inside mediator. That's the title we assumed since 2014, which has been recognized even at United Nations. Yeah, there are a few spaces which I think the partnership could capitalize. The first is, let's look at the social issues we are talking about. We are talking about issues like HIV, we are talking about issues of understanding, cross-fertilization of ideas, culture. Exchange visits. If, in a partnership you identify specific churches, I don't mean if you are talking about Catholic Church, it should be the whole Catholic Church, but you can have a diocese. If you are going to Anglican Church, you can have an Anglican diocese where you can partner and come up with, those exchange visits so that you understand the culture of Malawi and the challenges. We are talking about corruption here. Corruption is quite embedded in our cultural activities, how much you can give as a gift to an individual and, the culture that you can also help. To what extent does that giving amount to corruption, or is it just giving? So cultural things can be understood better in terms of this space exchange visits where the partnerships can be created with specific churches or networks like Public Affairs Committee, Christian Council of Malawi, the Muslim Association of Malawi, Evangelical Association of Malawi. All these, you can partner on specific thematic areas where they see that they have the competence or the gravitas. The other element is it's not just a question of exchange visits, but if Scotland knows some of the institutions that can help build capacity in these religious institutions, they can play that particular, networking or linkage to make sure that they are connected. So information sharing, communication, in terms of various issues that are taking place, that could be very fundamental. And we know for sure that the church could feed into their parliament for, policy formulation, budget formulation. What is it that you can help Malawi in terms of what Malawi wants to achieve based on its plan? So there are exchange visits, there are all these, networking, linking with those institutions, very important. Be that as it may, there are specific, community-based HIV activities which are so fundamental, because the support from a church from Scotland, if they partner with the CBO, that funding or that support goes directly. You don't have this bureaucracy where you say Robert Pili needs to go to field and he needs accommodation, he needs allowance. You don't have that expenditure. So you go straight at community-based, you help them with materials, you have achieved more. So direct, linkage or support network, fundraising aspect for those community-based organizations. That's fantastic for me because it's direct injection in terms of the funds. And that will be in rhythm with how best you use in terms of value for money to support communities at local level, even the faith-based organizations. Malawi is a different country, even within the continent. I think culturally we are very slow. We haven't moved very quickly in terms of implementation. So Scotland may need to bear in mind that the processes can be slow in Malawi. The society is slow. So patience sometimes matters, and integrating the local variables in terms of culture, in terms of the practices, those must be understood. Otherwise, if they come with that particular expectation that Scotland operates this way, in Malawi to operate, no, the local variables are very important. You need to be patient in order to move the processes.